Welcome in. Today we're diving into the alchemical process where energy is reorganizing itself before our alignment is visible in the reflection. So I pulled some cards today and it was mind blowing because it was literally the order of the alchemical process, at least as I've experienced it. So it begins with this Ace of Wands energy. Okay. This is like the impulse to live in a new way, to feel in a different way, to operate in a different way. There's a creative spark. It may not even be specific, but it's a desire for fulfillment, okay, in a new way. Whatever's been going on, it's not really doing it. And maybe it never was, but it wasn't an issue until now. And when that happens, we have to, this is not let's nurture the old stuff. It's, you know what, this isn't working. And it's the death card is actually a very sobering card. Of course, it can be dramatic, and there often is a little drama associated with it because it's cutting the cords. It's like a divorce or something like that. So it could even be death to our old way of relating. And what's coming to mind for me is, for example, when I was in a toxic relationship, a very long-term relationship that really wasn't feeding my soul. It wasn't very reciprocal. And a lot of it was because I had my way of receiving love when I was younger was very conditional. And so I developed these kind of coping strategies on how to maneuver through the world, but they're maladaptive as an adult. And so I knew that the new me couldn't sustain a relationship like this. And I did want to take this person with me. I was very attached to this person. And even though I changed, they couldn't come with me, which is often the case. And so it was death to this way of relating for me personally and having these kinds of relationships. I just use that as an example, see where it lands for you. It'll be unique for everyone, what it is death to. But the feeling is I'm ready for something completely different and new. And there's a desire for a new way. So what happened for me personally is that relationship ended and I received so much power back. My mind became, I just had so much more to focus on. I had so much more space. And so then I started to clean house. I started this Seven of Pentacles energy. So maybe some of you can relate to that. All of a sudden you look around and I was like, where else do I have energy leakage? I really started to do an honest assessment. Seven of Pentacles energy here is, where is he, she, this is genderless, is what do we really want to carry on forward? So when I went through my death in my old way of relating with that person in particular, then I started to look around at my other relationships and I was like, oh gosh, where else do I have these leaky kind of relationships? And it was very much the Seven of Pentacles energy. So then we start to look around and say, okay, let's just do a practical assessment. No more based on whatever, old times, nostalgia. We're not doing that. We're just literally looking at, where do I want to put my energy? And so there's an honest assessment. And part of that is, okay, the next card I pulled out was the Empress and she was sideways, okay? The Empress energy, when she's sideways, in this context would be like, I don't want to be overgiving anymore. If you're somebody who has overgiven or somebody who has been in people-pleasing kind of relationships or just uneven, the give and take is not to say we want to be tit for tat, but we want reciprocity. And a wounded Empress is, it's not going to be reciprocal. And so we assess in our life, where is our energy leaking? Where are we overgiving? It's not always people are toxic. It's also our own habits and our own maladaptive coping strategies. I'm being reminded, I had a client a few years ago. She came in for a half a day hypnosis session and she didn't even tell me she had MS. And she wrote me after the session, I don't know, a week or 2 weeks later, and she said, oh my gosh, since our session, my MS has been in remission. And she goes, I realized during our session that I was people-pleasing, that I was overgiving. And every time I did that, my body would start to ache and I would get the MS symptoms. And so she realized that, and from that point on, she stopped that habit. And when she did that and she became okay with it, of course, that was a kind of an accelerated alchemy that happened for her, but the new version of her doesn't operate out of that. Once we realize, oh, we're not going to overgive anymore, we're not going to be this wounded Empress, and we're not going to be you know, nurturing everyone and everything around us, and just it's draining. This is not fulfilling nurturing. This is absolutely draining. And once we do that, we make space for this Page of Swords energy. And this is really where the deep alchemy really starts to kick in, because we're starting to observe our patterns. This is a really curious energy. It's very open-minded. There's more space, like I said, like you start taking your power back, not just from people, but from even your shadow, parts of your shadow. And so now you're starting to observe patterns within the self. And a witness energy is starting to come in. And then this card, Two of Swords, okay, in this spread, the way I'm reading it, sometimes it's indecision or something like that. But here, this energy is saying, I don't move out of like that insecurity. I'm totally okay with that. And look at her. She's like, she can't see, but she's totally ready. And she looks like totally okay with that. And that's what this energy is. And so what do we do during this process? Okay, the shadow integration has already begun by just becoming okay with the unknown, right? With that Two of Swords energy. So we start to rest. Okay, this Four of Swords energy, this is like rest. This is nervous system regulation. And this is part of, we're like midway through the integration process, because even though we cut out maybe those toxic environments and those unhealthy things that weren't fulfilling us and that had run their course, that's sometimes they just run their course. We haven't healed from all that, but that's what this is. It's okay to rest. It's not all about action. So much of this process is happening internally. And then we start to embody Temperance, which is a very balanced kind of recalibration energy, where we're balancing, what I'm hearing is our wisdom tempers our heart tempers our wisdom. We're not acting out of extremes. We're moving with a very integrated, wholehearted perspective. And we're doing our shadow work. How are we getting all of this balance? We are okay with the residual fears and the shadow that is coming up within us. We nurture our shadow. We are reparenting. We are re-educating. All of these cards are explaining the process of integration, integrating our shadow, being okay with not knowing, being still, being okay with the silence. It may be uncomfortable, but being okay with the uncomfortableness of it. So it's really coming into non-resistance, the alchemical process here. And then what happens? When we do this, we reach world. Okay, and this is a full cycle is completing. And we are a new identity now. There's a new version of us. We have actually alchemized into the new version of ourselves. And the whole cycle of that old version of us and the way that we used to move, the way we used to operate has changed. So then we step into our Emperor energy, okay? Of course, these are gender neutral, guys and ladies, guys. And the Emperor energy, it's not even necessarily that we know exactly what we're gonna do now, but we're super confident and super at ease within ourself, okay? We're not operating out of shadow, out of wounding anymore. We're not operating out of confusion. We may not have the information yet, and that's okay. We're just stable in this energy, and we're gonna hold this energy and really embody the truth, and eventually in due time, we will express this energy, okay? This card actually came out reversed in the deck, okay? It was reversed in the deck. It didn't fall out reversed. So take it as it resonates, but you know, if parts of this reading may land more than others, but in this context, that means that this truth is ready to be embodied, which is like that Emperor energy, and it's holding that energy. It's not like, oh, you become the Emperor and then you just start going off in the world. It's saying you take time to integrate what you've experienced, you rest in this new identity, this new version of yourself, you really anchor it in, and then in due time, you do. And at the bottom of the deck, we got the Lovers card. Let's see if I get that in the center there. The Lovers card. And the Lovers here, you know, it could be romantic, but really here it really means an integration has happened. Now there is an alignment. So it's more of an energetic alignment between the different parts of ourselves. And that desire that we had now, because of who we are, can show up in the reflection because we're fully integrated. We are a new version of ourselves. We resonate differently. So now the choices that come will be value-based decisions that we make from this integrated space. So the Lover's card here is like union. It's union within the self. And so this is the alchemical process, which doesn't have a lot of action outside. A lot may not be visible on the outside. Maybe during that death card when we maybe put up some boundaries and made some different decisions in our life. Oh, and actually also the Seven of Pentacles, where we're doing our assessment. But most of this process is internal. It's all internal. It's all behind closed doors. It's all happening within us. And eventually the clarity arrives. And when we do receive that clarity, it's grounded, it's anchored, it's clear. And we make moves from there. And then we have a totally different reflection. So that's the message for today. If you enjoyed this message, please share your beautiful energy. Like, subscribe, share, and comment. Share if you've been on this alchemical journey as well and what resonated for you. And if you're interested in coaching, Akashic record readings, or visionary art, you'll find that information in the description box. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you in the next message.